Hey, welcome to Book Spills and More. My name is Travis, and in this video, which is kind of impromptu because I just found out about this challenge soon after returning to the platform, but I'm really pumped to be announcing my participation in the Jurassic Reading Challenge of 2026. I heard about this challenge from Jay's channel over at Faceless Book Reviews, and the creator of the challenge is Cheryl from Candlewick Library. I have both their channels linked below, so just go check out their channels alone. That's reason enough. But also, I have Cheryl's video detailing the challenge below as well, so please go check that out for a lot more detail for what the challenge requires. Basically, what the challenge is one book, at least one book, per month for the whole year of 2026, and the month has a themed dinosaur, a specific dinosaur. Most of the months do. There are a couple of months that have exceptions, and I will touch on those as I go through my TBR for this challenge. But basically, what you're going to do is see the featured dinosaur for the month, but the criteria for the month of reading is based on something trivial about the dinosaur. Again, please go check out Cheryl's channel for more details about this. And I gotta say, prepping for this challenge alone was kind of fun. I ended up sitting in front of this bookshelf and going through all of my TBRs trying to find something that would fit the criteria of these prompts on this challenge. And I did a pretty good job. But I also went to Books A Million. I had a Christmas gift card for there, so why not? So that I could get a couple of books that I felt would be appropriate for this challenge. But I do have other books that I bought as well that aren't on this list. So it's been quite an adventure trying to get this challenge going. So I'm going to start my TBR now, and I'm going to detail as much as I can the first 2 months. For example, in January, the featured dinosaur is a Tyrannosaurus Rex, or T-Rex as it's most popularly known as. And because it tends to be a favorite dinosaur among people, fans of like the Jurassic Park or whatever kind of dinosaur, genre it is. So the idea based on that piece of trivia is to reread a favorite book or read a book from your favorite author. That's the criteria for the prompt. So already we're in January now, and already I'm kind of started out with that. So I'm going to go with my reading something from my favorite author, which is Stephen King, which actually fit perfectly because I started the Dark Tower series just a few days ago with The Gunslinger. And I did, if you watched my Dark Tower series plan video that I did yesterday, it came out yesterday, I guess. I've gotten a little bit more through this book since then, so I've been kind of flying by it. So I can count that, but because I'm starting January off reading nothing but Dark Tower, I got these, and maybe hit the Talisman before the end of the month. But yeah, I guess any of these would qualify. So the dinosaur themed for February features Triceratops, and the idea that the Triceratops has 3 horns. The criteria for the prompt is to read something that's part of a trilogy. And I have the perfect one for that. I'm actually in the middle of a trilogy, and I'm going with Nicole Brona's book 2 of her Midnight Detective Agency series, Murderous Fairies. Now, when I get to this one, and I do a review, because I read her first book, Obsidian Murders, I didn't have my channel yet. Well, technically I did have a channel, I just wasn't making content then. But so I didn't actually get to do a video review, unlike what I will be doing with this one, because I want to review everything that I read video-wise on this channel from now on. So when I get to reviewing this one, I will touch on my thoughts for this one as well. But yes, this is my Triceratops read for February. Now, in March is Stegosaurus month. And I can't remember exactly right off the top of my head what the trivia was for that. But with those first 2 dinosaurs, you kind of get the idea, right? So the Stegosaurus in March is based on anything family themed. And you can use that however you want, according to Cheryl, just as long as it's some type of family theme. And I have chosen The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. It's supposed to take place in Depression-era Oklahoma and focus on this one family and their struggles. I've been wanting to read this for a long time. I've been putting it off, so you know what? No more excuses. It's time to get this done. April is Brachiosaurus / Brontosaurus, and there's an interesting trivia that I didn't know about that. So again, go check out Cheryl to get the details on that. But the criteria for the prompt from this trivia of the dinosaurs is to read something that involves a case of mistaken identity. Now, I could have gone with The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. That would probably be the most obvious choice from what I have on my shelves. But because I have something special planned for H.G. Wells reading later on, I don't know when I'm going to do that yet, I'm going to put this aside. And I don't want to start any kind of like cozy mystery series that oftentimes have cases of my mistaken identity. So I'm going to be reading a lot of Stephen King, so I want to kind of chill out on too much thriller right now. So I was looking around at Books A Million yesterday, and I was going to get this anyway because the Charles Dickens story, A Tale of Two Cities, actually inspired me to get into this. And I am going to go with The Scarlet Pimpernel by Baroness Amushka Orczy. So it's supposed to be about a Frenchman who leads a secret life, a double life, I guess. I think he's kind of an aristocrat, but as the Scarlet Pimpernel, his alter ego / superhero, I guess you could say, he saves other aristocrats from being executed by guillotine. It takes place in the French Revolution, obviously, which is partly why it was inspired from A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. So I think this would be a good thing to read to fall under mistaken identity, because I've read A Tale of Two Cities before, which would be another great classic like The Invisible Man for mistaken identity, you know, where of course, where the characters of Sidney Carton and Charles Darnay bear so much resemblance, which becomes a crucial plot point, especially toward the end of the story. But I don't want to do any rereads, with one exception later on that I hope is going to be acceptable. We'll get to it then. But I think this is my April read for Mistaken Identity. Okay, for the month of May, Cheryl took a step away from the actual animals of dinosaurs to focus on more environmental things. And the only criteria is in the prompt itself, which you are to read anything with a natural disaster or some kind of threat of extinction or extinction event. And after looking through every one of these, just about every one of these TBRs, I actually found something that would fit both of those criteria. And I have West with Giraffes by Linda Rutledge, and it's supposed to be a historical fiction based on this 105-year-old guy who kind of recounts his life. And typically back to the Great Depression, where two giraffes supposedly survived a hurricane because they were on the threat of extinction. And this guy takes it upon himself to rescue these two giraffes and try to cart them to safety cross country. And it's supposed to be this grand adventure. Again, historical fiction, but it's supposed to be really poignant, you know, just like a kind of coming of age story. So this ought to be really neat. And again, I think hurricane and giraffes, threat of extinction, which I never would have thought about giraffes of all animals, you know, but hey, you never know. But yeah, I think this covers both criteria. So I think I'm good for the month of May. June's featured dinosaur is the Spinosaurus, and that one has to do with anything related to water. Anything. It could be a seafaring adventure, something on a lake, I guess, a river, ocean, just something to do. An aquatic animal, I think is what Cheryl said as well. That's acceptable. So just anything to do with water, and I think I've got the perfect one for that, and that's Moby Dick by Herman Melville. Now, my book club is supposed to be doing this sometime this year. If they do it before June, then I guess I'm just going to have to skip book club, that meeting for that, because I do want to save this specifically for this challenge. It would be perfect if they did this for June. That way I could get it covered. So at my next book club meeting, I'm going to try to push for that. But if they wait until after June, I'll have already read it. I'll be covered either way. So yeah, but that's my Spinosaurus read for the month of June. July's dinosaur is Pachycephalosaurus, and the idea for that one is to read something involving a stubborn character or characters. And I'm going to go with The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This was gifted to me by someone in the book club, and I actually texted someone yesterday, and based on the premise, I thought, I get the idea that there's a stubborn character in this. Actually, I think I've got a lot of contenders that would have stubborn characters. But I think that one would require a little bit more paleontological digging to do that. So I just kind of did a quick research, and the person who gifted me this said, oh, there's a ton of stubborn characters in there. So I think my Pachycephalosaurus read is cemented with this for the month of July. August was interesting because it features a Pteranodon, which, technically isn't a dinosaur, but a lot of people just classify them as dinosaurs. I guess for convenience. But the idea behind that might be a little bit obvious, and it involves reading something that revolves around air travel or includes or features air travel. That one was a bit challenging for me because the first thing that came to mind regarding air travel that I know for sure is The Langoliers by Stephen King. But that's a novella. I'm sure it would still count, but novella or not, I've read it. I don't want to reread something on this challenge, at least not right away. And also, I just didn't really care for that story, so that was kind of knocked out of the park. So I'm going to go with John Grisham's Camino Island, because according to the person that in the book club that gave me this book, incidentally, the same person that also gave me The Great Gatsby, come to think of it, said, yeah, there's a great deal of air travel in this, or a fair deal is what he said. So we'll see. But so far, this is my air travel pick for August, my Pteranodon read. September's dinosaur is a Plesiosaurus, and the idea behind that one is to read a book with a mythical creature in it. Now, while I do have some contenders, I was thinking about the Iliad and the Odyssey, but I've read those before a long time ago, so that's going to be, a put off for now. I think maybe Dungeon Crawler Carl might have something in that, but I don't really have a whole lot of fantasies left right now because most of this thriller and stuff. But at Books A Million yesterday, I think I'm going to go with The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft. And this is actually a little collection. But The Call of Cthulhu is going to be the headliner to fit the Plesiosaurus theme for September. For October, the featured dinosaur there is Velociraptor, and the idea is to read something involving a heist or thievery or theft. And the first thing that shot out at me, obviously, was the word thief in the title of the book, and it's called The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, and it's supposed to take place at the start of World War II in Germany, and it's about this woman who sort of accidentally or just picks up a book that she finds in a graveyard, while visiting her brother's grave, and she basically just steals it. She takes it. She doesn't return it to its original owner. So from there on, I don't know what happens because we just got to wait and see. But yeah, I think that's my pick for the Velociraptor October read. For November, Cheryl takes us away from the animal aspect again and goes straight for the gusto. Good old Michael Crichton. Anything by Michael Crichton, but especially Jurassic Park and or The Lost World. Or just anything related to dinosaurs, even if it's not Michael Crichton. So, of course, I'm going to, I guess, be a little bit of a cheat and do a reread of Jurassic Park because I have this volume. I might as well just use it. I think I'm okay with doing that, so we'll see. Whether or not I do The Lost World as well, I'm not sure. I should go ahead and do them both just to knock out this entire book, but we'll see when we get there. But definitely Jurassic Park it's Michael Crichton, so I hope I'm safe. I'm covered either way. December's dinosaur is Parasaurolophus, and the criteria for this one is to read anything with music, anything at all. As long as it's music related, it's fair game. And this one was an interesting find for me on my shelves, and it's Nos 4A2 by Joe Hill, because apparently this book features a lot of Christmas carols and pop culture music, and I think the main villain in this one, from what I've heard in different reviews and stuff, uses music to do whatever. So yeah, I think this one was a no-brainer. Now, there is an extra prompt on this challenge. It is to read a nonfiction book based on dinosaurs or paleontology or something prehistoric. And you can do this in one of two ways. You can use it as one of your original 12, as long as it also meets the criteria for that month. Or you can just simply tack it on to the challenge and do 13 instead of just 12. But as long as it's nonfiction and related to something prehistoric, dinosaurs, Ice Age maybe, I think that might be acceptable as well, or something to do with paleontology. And my pick that I'm going to do, incidentally, for the month of November, because maybe it'll help make up for my cheat on Jurassic Park for that month. But what better time to read nonfiction than in November? And I'm going with The Paleo Manifesto, Ancient Wisdom for Lifelong Health by John Durant. And I think it works. You know, what our ancient ancestors can teach us about how to be healthy, getting stronger, losing weight, and living longer. And it says the Paleo Manifesto takes readers on a thrilling ride to the Paleolithic age and beyond, unlocking the health secrets of our ancient ancestors. So yeah, I think this will be fitting for the theme of the prompt. So yeah, that is my TBR for the 2026 Jurassic Reading Challenge. Thank you so much to Cheryl at Candlewick Library again for creating this challenge. I think it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and I can't wait to get into it. And I'm going to have a little bit more fun with it by doing this. If you know by now, if you've been sticking with me ever since I came back to the platform, one thing I'm starting to do is put emojis in my titles. I am going to use this emoji combo, 2 dinosaurs surrounding a book. It's supposed to, in my mind, warped as it is, supposed to kind of symbolize reading revolved around dinosaurs, or dinosaurs revolved around reading, whichever way you want to interpret that. But that's going to be my identifier for anything content-wise related strictly to this challenge. So if you're going to follow me only to do the challenge, that would be a good way. Also, if you noticed the thumbnail for this video, something I've never really done before, but I wanted to go a little all out for this challenge, as you can see, and just have as much fun with it as I possibly can. But Stegosaurus back here, I think, is going to be featured quite a bit during this challenge. So I'm going to probably use him in a lot of the thumbnails, maybe all of them. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, maybe a little bit more involvement from him if I get some little cute ideas from, you know, throughout the challenge. And if you're planning to do this challenge, please let me know in the comments below so that I can start following along. I'm really interested to see who else is going to do this challenge. And I also would like to see how others approach this challenge. But most importantly, what they're reading for the challenge. So, you know, that would be a great way to get recommendations and maybe do a lot of more engagement, especially if it, you know, if there are people that I haven't met yet. So yeah, that would be a great way to get some of that too. So yeah, go check out Cheryl's channel at Candlewick Library. Go check out Nicole's channel at Nicole's Bookish Nook. And go check out Jay's channel at Faceless Book Reviews. I kind of hope he does this challenge, if for no other reason than just to, you know, hear him try to pronounce the names of these dinosaurs. I'm kidding. I'm sure he would do just fine with that. But it would be interesting to see what he especially would read for a challenge like this. But if he doesn't, that's fine. It is an optional challenge, of course. But I do hope it gets a lot of attention and a lot of engagement. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing this again. And if you've stuck with me this long, thank you so much for watching. I hope you do the challenge. Leave me a comment below what you think of my reads. I hope to see you in the next video.